Keybiscaynestories collects the history of our beautiful island. This is your host, Alejandro Cervali, and I am a certified Key Rat for many, many years and counting. With this podcast, we will share the stories of our residents and their love for this slice of paradise we call home. So stay tuned, relax, and enjoy these great Key Biscayne stories. Key Biscayneers, Key Rats, welcome to another episode of Key Biscayne Stories. For today's guest, I bring you a good friend of mine, Morgan Duzoglou-Mariotti. She is a certified professional life coach and founder of MD Values Coaching. Get to know her story and how she started life coaching. Morgan will tell us about the benefits of life coaching. We will touch on what are values, and she will give us some tips we can use today. On a personal note, I've had the pleasure to know Morgan for more than 23 years. We grew up together at the RDCA dojo here in the Key in the old Eckert building. Eckert? What? Anyways, Morgan has a wealth of knowledge and experience in helping youth and adults alike develop strong values. She is also a published author. Morgan and her father, Sensei Robert Duzoglou, wrote Life Coach to help you find yourself, your gifts, and your purpose. Remember to subscribe to the podcast and sign up to the newsletter, information in the show notes. So, Morgan, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. Me too. I'm excited to talk about MD Values Coaching. But before we do that, let's get to know you a little bit. So where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from New York. I was actually born in Manhattan, city girl. But I moved here so young. I moved to Key Biscayne when I think I was 8 years old or so. So not only did I grow up here, but I saw the island transform before my eyes and tried to leave a couple times, had my bouts out and about in the world, but kept coming home. And now my roots are here. I love it.
I mean, Key Biscayne is a hard place to leave.
I know. Yep. Why leave when you live on paradise, right?
Exactly. It's a beautiful key. It's a beautiful key. What is your favorite part of Key Biscayne?
Oof, that's a tough question. I think, just the feeling of home. I've been here for so long that, you go into some stores that are staples or some restaurants that are staples here, and you feel like you're going to see your family. And everybody kind of treats you as such. So I love that the community is so tight, going to spend a weekend with the family at the beach club or something like that. It's just the feeling that I have here. It's home.
The beach club is a great place. I mean, I have to tell the audience that we know each other from the dojo, from the RDCA dojo here in the Key.
Yes, we do.
Right. Practically grew up in there. And
don't say how many years. Don't say how many years, but a lot of them.
Yeah. And the beach club is a great place because we do the black belt test too there. So there's a lot of connection and history there for us, at least from the dojo perspective.
Absolutely.
How would you describe a perfect weekend for you in Key Biscayne?
Well, Key Biscayne is always sunny, so that's a perk. And there's so many different places to enjoy. I was very sad when Oasis closed because that was kind of like the watering hole for a lot of us to go and get a cafecito in the morning. But I would say stopping by some place where you can get a coffee, a nice long walk on the beach, and then having a great barbecue with the family kind of thing, and just easy breezy and beautiful. That's a Key Biscayne day.
Awesome.
Oh, and of course, getting from A to B in a golf cart. You can't leave that part out.
It's true. That's true. And you recently got married.
I did. Well, everybody thinks it's recent. We're like almost 3 years now, but yes, I did. I dragged him to Key Biscayne as well, and now he won't leave. So we're set.
And you got yourself an Italian, I understand.
I did. I should have learned earlier. They're the best.
And he knows how to cook too. I can witness. I've seen it.
He does. I started gaining quite a lot, and then thank God I put my discipline back into place. Otherwise, forget it. But yes, he's wonderful. He's always cooking for the whole family, and we love him. He's the best.
That's awesome. And you, of course, you work with your dad in the dojo.
I do. What a blessing to be able, my father and my brother. So to be able to go to work every day and just kind of, mess around with those guys. It's fun. We all have our department, I guess you could say. So there's no stepping on any toes, but we're always joking around, and it's a beautiful business. We've been open for, I think we're going on 26 years now. So talk about a staple in the community. Yeah, we love it. The martial arts is such a beautiful way to grow up, because I grew up doing it and being in the school and participating in everything, traveling with a competition team and then teaching classes. And then, it was a great way to grow up.
We all know you run the dojo.
Well, I'm not allowed to say it. I'm not allowed to say it.
Nobody knows, just us.
Yeah.
But so MD values coaching, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What is it?
So I am a life coach. I'm a trained professional life coach, certified professional life coach. What I do is I have my clients. I also have a program that's out in a few schools and universities. And I just try my hardest to help people realize their potential and their purpose and what is going to make them the version of the happiest that they can be. So it's a lot harder than it sounds. It does take a lot of work, but the rewards are really, really fantastic. And the nice thing is that no age is too early or too late. So even some of my clients, I start them very young, 10, 11 years old, and then up the ladder all the way up. So young families and so on. And it's a beautiful journey because the lifestyle that we all lead now in the society that we're in, a lot of those core values that I was taught as a kid and we had at home or we had in school, life has gotten really fast paced. And a lot of people have just kind of skimmed over those really important values that are, and I think, we'll probably get into what they are later, but what I do is try and bring them back and try and bring them into a foundation of a person so that they can live by them for the rest of their lives. And it really brings such a beautiful quality to who you are as a person, how you lead your life, and the people around you.
How would you say that what inspired you to start this? I mean, I've seen, I want to guess that in the dojo, I kind of like, I not only did I go to class there, I participated, I taught, I helped. So I always saw you, like consulting the kids, right? And you were like that extra, I'm going to say that mom, right? That dojo mom.
Right.
If I had to guess, from there, but I want to hear it from you.
I didn't choose it. It chose me. And I think that that's really the best way that I can describe it. Being involved in the dojo for so many years, yes, I had that one-on-one interaction. And okay, yeah, fine. Like the older sister for a little while and then turned into the mom kind of figure there. And everyone that was there, the kids, the teens, they always knew that they can talk to me and bring me their happiness and their issues. And I never judged anyone. I just kind of gave them that free space to talk to somebody and to connect with someone. And one of the moms actually came to me one time years ago and she said, "Why aren't you doing this professionally? You're wonderful at it." And she planted a seed for me that kind of stuck with me and resonated with me. And it stuck with me for a long while. And I said, "You know what, I'm just going to do this." And I went back to school, got another degree and opened up my practice and just took off. And it was started with one person and then I was doing auditoriums for 200 and something people. So it's kind of morphed into its own animal, but it's wonderful because I think the connection that people make with me and I make with them, but then also what they take away from it and what they're able to do with the own connections that they have with other people and that they wish to make, it's important.
And how does it feel to participate in people's lives during their life coaching?
It's a gift. It's a huge responsibility, but it's a gift, to be able to assist in molding them and guiding them and bringing out things that are inside of them that they didn't even know that were there. It's a tremendous responsibility, but it can be extremely rewarding as well.
You mentioned values when you were describing MD value coaching and what you do. I'm sure there's people that don't know what values are. Maybe they have different ideas. Can you define values for us? What are values?
Sure. I mean, obviously, something very tough to define, and everybody has a different definition of what values are. I'll give you mine. I think values are something that is almost like a characteristic of yourself. It's something that is a reflection of who you are as a person. So, when you wake up in the morning, you take a shower, you fix yourself up, you put on some cologne, some perfume, whatever. And that's the makeup of yourself externally, right? So what about your internal makeup? When you walk out the door, what does your internal makeup look like? Are you going to be kind? Are you going to be, do people know you as someone who's trustworthy, who's loyal, who's respectful? These are the values that, are the foundation of who you are as a person, who people can identify, with you. So people that know me automatically know, oh, Morgan's a very responsible person. She is, a kind person. I hope so. but those are the types of things that we carry with us, and those are values. There's how many of them? There's a slew of them. But if you can think about, what do people know you as? What do your relationships, and not only that, but how is your relationship with other people, and the values that you have in between each other? So when you are making different relationships with people, it's not just the values that you share with other people, but it's the values that you share with yourself, the relationship that you have with yourself, the relationship that you have with a higher power. For me, it's God. How does he see me? So those are values.
I like kindness because it reminded me you have a column in the Islander News.
I do, yes.
And you wrote, I think, an article on kindness when I was reviewing some of the material you sent me. Thank you, by the way.
I have. You're welcome. I have, yes.
Can you share a little bit of the content that you wrote there about kindness? And what is kindness?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, I don't remember what I wrote because I always focus so hard on it, and then it's in and it's out. But kindness is something that we take for granted, and we don't realize that a simple act of kindness can go a really long way. And I think the way that we are, and I brought it up before, the way that society has gotten really fast paced. How many times do you see a young gentleman open a door for somebody anymore? Or somebody helping someone to a car, or a little kid gets lost and they feel comfortable coming to you and asking where to go. We're all so frustrated when somebody bothers us and, puts us out of our super gaze that is straightforward and nobody can come into our bubble. And a simple kindness can go a really long way. Picking up the phone and calling your grandmother and seeing how she's doing, or helping a neighbor. Those are the kind of things that I would love to see us get back to as a whole, as a humanity, especially after the last year that we've all gone through, the entire world has gone through, and the world is just really angry. And those little acts of kindness, they go a really long way.
Could kindness go both ways? Like the person who does the deed of kindness,
Mhm.
could that person not only be serving that other person, but also himself? Does that make sense? I don't know. It's just a thought that came to mind. Like the one who acts out the kindness also receives from the act. Does that make sense?
No, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Talk about clarification. I think, when you are the kind of person that you are looking to give, I don't recommend doing it because for the purpose that you're going to be receiving something, because that kind of negates the whole purpose of giving. However, is it rewarding when you do something and you kind of get that little spark in your heart and you feel like, wow, at the end of the day, I helped somebody, I put a smile on somebody's face, that makes you feel good. That makes you feel like you went out of yourself. I always say that you want to make a really happy person, get them to focus on something other than themselves. I don't remember who it's either Mother Teresa or Gandhi that say, lose yourself in the service of others. And that's so true. I know because I grew up going to soup kitchens and helping homeless and walking around and, doing a lot of community service. My family was always really big on community service. And when you do those acts of kindness, not expecting anything, but you just finish your day and you come home sweaty and tired and exhausted, and you realize, number one, how incredibly privileged you are. And number two, you have this human interaction with somebody else that would have nothing to do with you, but maybe they may put a smile on your face and you put a smile on their face. And it's a beautiful way to give, even, something as simple as a smile. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Going back to life coaching, what would you say are some of the benefits of life coaching?
Well, depending on what it is that you're coming in for, I think that it's just a betterment of your life, a better understanding of who you are as a person, the possibility of giving yourself a balanced life. So I always think that it's very important to have a balance between your spirituality, your mentality, your physicality. All of these different things play a big part in how you feel. Because if you're, for example, if you're completely neglecting your health, but you're living in your head, okay, maybe great for your head, but your quality of life is definitely going to go down. For my younger clients that come, or young families that come, giving kids the sense that they can be more than what they've been exposed to. We're very quick to judge ourselves before we judge anybody else, and giving them that liberty of, okay, who I am as a person is okay. How I think is okay. What I want to do with myself is okay. That sense of comfort is very important growing up in the society that we're in right now. And for adults, I mean, getting back to the roots of who you are, because we can very easily get lost. Our mentality can get lost according to who we surround ourselves with, or what our daily grind is, and kind of coming back and taking a breather and saying, okay, who am I? What do I want for myself? And where am I going? These are really important questions to ask yourself. I did write a book along with my father. For those of you that can't see it, it's a picture of my father and I. And he has, tons and tons of years of experience, obviously in the workforce, as well as meditation and spirituality and so on. I mean, he is a sensei for a long time and owns a martial arts school. And I myself, with my years of martial arts, plus, my coaching experience and so on, we wrote this book together. And I think the original version was, I don't know how many hundreds of pages, but we consolidated. So now I think it's just over 100, and it's an interactive book that really gets you thinking about who you are and where you want to go. There's a lot of analysis within the book, a self-analysis. So not only do you kind of have this vision of where you want to go, but you know exactly where you are at the moment, and exactly what your value system is, what your thoughts look like. And it's really quite interesting. And it's the kind of thing I'll show you. You have pages where you can go ahead and write your answers in, and we walk you through quite a bit of information. It's very complex, but anyone can do it. And what I love about it is that you can revisit it year after year after year. So I always recommend for my clients to have a journal. And it's really funny because some people that have been with me for years, they kind of say, wow, Morgan, I look back at my answers from a few years ago and I'm a completely different person now. And I said, yeah. Isn't it wonderful that you can look and you can see your progress and track your progress? And they really love that.
So I have my copy. I should have brought it here so I can wave it.
No, you do. I know you've done it. So,
but awesome. And how was the experience of grabbing your experience and putting it into a book format? I know it takes time.
It took, it took probably around 1.5 years to do. It wasn't easy because it's just a lot of information. I mean, I got to do it with my father, so it was a riot. We had a great time doing it, and kind of knocking each other, yes, this is right. No, this is not right. And it was interesting, but we were very, very particular and very picky about how we did this, because we really wanted to translate the right information and give the right experience to the people that were going to do this. I mean, it's called Life Quest, so you're on a journey, and we wanted to make sure that it was a very guided experience, and people would feel secure in the process.
I know that we're running out of time. I have one more question for you. What are some tips that people can walk away with after listening to us today?
So some tips, some coaching tips. Let's see. Keep a journal, because a journal is a great way to just track what's going on in your life. You are very easily able to record if you are distracted a lot, if you happen to be angry a lot, if you happen to be a space cadet and you keep losing your train of thought, or on the flip side, you're happy a lot, you're conversing a lot with your family, things like that. It's a great way to easily see your patterns and see where you are and how you're living. That's one. I think another one would definitely be think before you speak. We are all very, very quick to just kind of blurt out something, and we don't realize that either it can be very difficult for someone else to hear, or they may not process things the same that we do. So kind of take a breath and think about what you're going to say before you say it in any situation. And the third one, I think, don't forget to connect. the translation of that word or the interpretation of that word, I think that's a very intimate definition for somebody. So when I say connect, be in nature, disconnect from the busyness of your life, or pray if you like to pray, if you like to connect that way, or have your meditation, your few moments of silence, just something that you can do to kind of block out the noise of your everyday and connect with yourself with a positive energy, something that can really set the tone for your life.
When one journals, should they be very specific? How much time should they spend on doing it?
That's something that's very unique to the person.
Okay.
So I have them all over the place, actually. Sometimes it's as simple as writing down a dream, writing a couple quick notes. And sometimes it's writing out a whole day of something that was very important. So that's really up to the person. But I would just say, make sure that your message of what you're writing is very easily conveyed. So it's not like you have to sit down and write a ton of pages. A lot of people don't even have time for that. But you can really easily convey a mood or a thought or something, maybe a thought that is happening and reoccurring very often that you didn't realize was reoccurring very often. Things like that, you'll be able to see them very easily, and that's important.
So I can take it easy. I could be a particular thought or a moment, or
Absolutely.
if I have the time, but the idea is to have a good time while you do it.
Absolutely. Look, I even have clients that do it as voice notes on their phone. So it's a very unique experience. Whatever it is that you want to do, just as long as it's recorded in some way. I personally like to write, with a pen in hand. So that's my preference, but just a way to be able to record yourself.
I mean, you have great penmanship anyways. I mean, I look at my handwriting notes here. I get dizzy looking at my own notes.
Hey, sometimes we all have our own chicken scratch. Don't worry about it.
It's good to know I'm not alone. But Morgan, it's been great having you here on the show on Keybiscaynestories. Thank you so much for taking the time to sharing your tips, what you do with the life coaching, and how you're impacting people's lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon.